The border of the Veyron demilitarized zone had been quiet for 87 years. Commander Rel Vasco, senior peacekeeper of the Neutral Accord Fleet, liked quiet borders. Quiet meant trade ships passed without fear. Quiet meant patrol crews slept through their shifts. Quiet meant old wars stayed buried under treaties, signatures, and official speeches. But on the morning humanity returned, the border became too quiet. Every traffic signal across the zone stopped at once. No distress calls, no engine noise, no military chatter. Just silence. Rel stood inside the observation deck of Peace Station 9, watching thousands of stars through the glass wall. Behind him, junior officers whispered over dead consoles. The main screen showed one impossible reading. A human fleet had entered the demilitarized zone. Not one ship, not 10. 312 vessels moved in perfect formation, their hulls dark, their engines dim, their weapons locked but not powered. They did not fire. They did not threaten. They simply crossed the border like they had every right to be there. Rel felt his throat tighten. Humanity was not supposed to exist as a military power anymore. 87 years ago, after the burning of the outer colonies, the galaxy had forced humans to accept peace. The official story said humanity had been reckless, violent, and dangerous. The treaty had ended the conflict, and the Veyron zone had been created to keep humans away from their former enemies. But now the humans were back. A message appeared on every screen in the station. Plain text, no decoration, no anger. This is Admiral Mara Vale of the Terran Restoration Fleet. We are invoking Article 17 of the Veyron Peace Treaty. The case is reopened. Rel froze. Article 17 was not used. Article 17 was not even discussed. It was the clause everyone pretended did not exist. Because if humanity was right, then the peacekeepers had not protected peace. They had protected a lie. Commander Rel Vasco had read the Veyron Peace Treaty many times. Every peacekeeper had. Most officers knew the famous parts. No human warships beyond the inner systems, no Veyron ships near Earth space, no colony rebuilding inside disputed zones. Those laws were taught in academies like sacred rules. But Article 17 was different. It was short, almost forgotten, and dangerous. Rel opened the treaty file on his private screen. His fingers moved slower than usual. Article 17. If either signing party is found to have hidden evidence, falsified war records, or violated civilian protection terms, the injured party may demand a full reopening of the peace settlement under neutral supervision. Rel read the words twice, then a third time. Behind him, his junior officer Sen whispered, "Sir, can they do that?" Rel did not answer quickly. Outside the station window, the human fleet held position. It did not move closer. It did not aim weapons. It waited with terrible patience. That patience frightened Rel more than any attack would have. On the main screen, Admiral Mara Vale appeared. She was older than Rel expected. Silver hair, calm face, dark uniform without medals. Her eyes looked tired, not angry. "Peace Station 9, she said. "We request neutral review." Rel straightened. "Admiral Vale, this zone is restricted to all Terran military vessels." "Yes," she said, "unless Article 17 is invoked." Sen looked at Rel in panic. Rel kept his voice steady. "What evidence do you claim to possess?" For the first time, something changed on the Admiral's face. Not rage, not pride, pain. "Civilian death records," she said. "Intercepted orders, colony evacuation logs, and the original black box files from the ships your council said never existed." The station went silent. Rel felt cold spread through his chest. Those ships had been the reason humanity was blamed. Those ships had started the war according to every official archive. Admiral Vale leaned closer to the screen. "Commander," she said softly, "we did not come to break the peace." Her eyes hardened. "We came to prove who already did." Commander Rel ordered the human evidence capsule brought aboard under full quarantine. It was not a weapon. That made everyone more afraid. The capsule floated inside the station's review chamber, a black metal sphere no larger than a child's bed. 3 peacekeeper scanners circled it, searching for explosives, viruses, signal traps, anything that could justify sending it back. They found nothing, only records. Admiral Mara Vale watched through the glass from the human side of the secure channel. Her face stayed calm, but her hands were locked behind her back so tightly her knuckles had turned pale. Rel noticed that. It made her seem less like an invader and more like someone standing beside a grave. "Open it," she said. The sphere unlocked with a soft hiss. Light rose from inside it. At first Rel saw numbers, colony names, dates, evacuation routes. Then the chamber filled with voices, human voices. Children calling for parents, doctors asking for ships, governors requesting shelter corridors that the treaty archives claimed had never existed. Sen stepped back, his face gray. "These are civilian signals," he whispered. Rel could not speak. One recording became clear above the others. A woman's voice shaking but controlled. "This is Governor Elian Cross of New Dresden Colony. We have lowered shields under Peacekeeper instruction. Repeat, shields are down. We are ready for evacuation." Then another voice answered. Not human, a Veyran military code. "Confirm exposed target. Begin cleansing strike." The chamber froze. No one breathed. Rel stared at the old audio waveform as if it had become a living thing. Every peacekeeper in the room knew what it meant. New Dresden had not been a battlefield. It had been surrendered, and someone had ordered its destruction anyway. The main doors opened suddenly. Ambassador Kareth of the Veyran Empire entered with 6 armed guards, his golden robes moving like fire. "This review is illegal," Kareth snapped. "Seal that capsule." Rel turned slowly. For 87 years, peacekeepers had obeyed the treaty. But now the treaty itself was speaking. Rel placed one hand over the evidence console. "No," he said, and for the first time the Veyran ambassador looked afraid. Ambassador Kareth stared at Commander Rel as if the word no had been a weapon. "You forget your place," Kareth said. Rel did not move his hand from the evidence console. Around him, the review chamber felt smaller than before. The human voices had stopped, but their fear still seemed to hang in the air. "I remember my place clearly," Rel said. "This is a neutral station." Kareth's guards lifted their rifles. Sen reached for his sidearm, but Rel raised 2 fingers to stop him. One nervous move could turn truth into war. On the screen, Admiral Mara Vale watched in silence. She did not threaten. She did not order her fleet forward. That restraint made the room heavier. Kareth stepped closer. "The humans are manipulating you. They were always violent, always unstable. That is why the treaty exists." Rel looked at the evidence capsule. Then he looked at the ambassador. "If that is true," Rel said, "then you should not fear a full review." For a moment, Kareth's expression cracked, only for a second. But Rel saw it. So did everyone else. The station's emergency channel suddenly flashed red. Reports came from the outer defense grid. Veyran warships had entered the demilitarized zone from 3 directions. Not patrol craft, not escorts, attack formations. Sen's voice shook. "Sir, they are targeting the human fleet." Rel turned toward the main window. Outside, the Terran ships remained still, dark against the stars. They had expected this. Rel understood it then. Humanity had not come hoping the treaty would work. They had come to prove who would break it first. Admiral Vale finally spoke. "Commander Rel, under Article 17, we request neutral enforcement." Kareth shouted, "Deny it!" Rel closed his eyes for one heartbeat. Then he opened the station-wide channel. "All peacekeeper vessels," he said, voice steady, "interpose between Veyran attack groups and the Terran fleet. Record all actions. This is now an official treaty violation." Across the zone, neutral ships moved, and the galaxy's oldest lie began to collapse. The peacekeeper ships moved into formation like a thin silver wall. They were not built to win wars. Their hulls were light, their shields old, and their weapons were meant for warning shots, not battles. But they carried one power no empire was supposed to ignore: neutral authority. Commander Rel stood on the bridge of Peace Station 9, watching the Veyran attack group slow. For a moment, he thought Kareth's fleet would stop. Then the first Veyran destroyer fired. The shot struck a peacekeeper shield vessel. Blue light burst across space. The ship survived, but its distress signal screamed across every open channel. Sen whispered, "They fired on us." Rel felt something inside him go still. For 87 years, the galaxy had called humans dangerous, violent, unstable, a threat to order. But now the humans were waiting. And the Vayrans were the ones shooting through neutral ships to hide old crimes. Admiral Mara Vale appeared on the screen again. "Commander," she said, "your vessels are not designed for this." Real knew that. Everyone knew that. Another Vayran shot hit the silver line. This time a peacekeeper frigate spun out of formation, its engines bleeding light. Rel looked at the human admiral. "What are you requesting?" Mara's voice stayed calm. "Permission to defend neutral forces under Article 17. Kareth shouted from the chamber behind him. "You cannot allow this." Rel did not turn around. He gave the order. "Permission granted." The Terran fleet awakened. No grand charge, no wild attack, just clean movement. Human ships slid between peacekeeper vessels with terrifying precision. Their shields expanded, covering damaged neutral ships. Their guns fired only at Vayran weapon systems, engine cores, and command relays. One by one, Vayran ships went dark, not destroyed, disabled. Rel watched in silence as the galaxy learned something it had forgotten. Humanity did not need cruelty to be feared. It only needed discipline. And discipline in the hands of the wounded was more frightening than rage. The battle ended in 11 minutes, not because the Vayrans were weak, because humanity had already studied every ship, every command habit, every weak point, and every arrogant mistake they were likely to make. Across the demilitarized zone, Vayran destroyers drifted powerless. Their engines were cold. Their weapons were silent. Their crews were alive, trapped behind disabled systems and sealed command doors. Commander Rel watched the final enemy flagship lose power. No explosion followed. No human celebration came through the channel. Only Admiral Mara Vale's voice. "Peace Station 9, hostile weapons are disabled. Civilian and neutral casualties are being treated. We request permission to board the Vayran command vessel and detain Ambassador Kareth under treaty authority." Rel turned. Kareth stood behind him, pale now. His golden robes no longer looked like fire. They looked heavy, like chains. "You have no right," Kareth said. Rel looked at the evidence capsule still glowing inside the chamber. "Yes," he said quietly, "they do." For the first time, Kareth did not shout. Human Marines arrived 10 minutes later. They did not storm the station like conquerors. They entered in small groups, weapons lowered, medical teams beside them. One medic even stopped to treat a wounded peacekeeper before moving forward. Rel noticed everything. So did his crew. Mara Vale came last. She stepped into the review chamber and faced Kareth without anger. "Ambassador Kareth," she said, "you are being detained for conspiracy, civilian murder, treaty fraud, and ordering an armed violation of neutral space." Kareth forced a smile. "You think this changes anything? The Council will never accept human judgment." Mara looked past him, toward the watching peacekeepers, the open recordings and the live broadcast now spreading across the galaxy. "It is not human judgment anymore," she said. Rel stepped forward. "No," he said. "It is neutral record." Kareth's smile disappeared, and somewhere far beyond the station, millions of alien citizens heard the truth for the first time.